Ethan was the smart kid. Teachers loved him. He always had the answer, always understood things faster than everyone else. People spoke about his future like it was already guaranteed. You're gonna do big things. You've got so much potential. And honestly, they were probably right. Ethan was intelligent. The kind of intelligent that makes people assume success is automatic. Then there was Dave. Dave wasn't stupid, but nobody would have called him gifted. He was impulsive, disorganized, the kind of person who started things before fully thinking them through. At school, Ethan looked like the future millionaire. Dave looked like the guy who might struggle, but 10 years later, Ethan is still figuring things out, still researching business ideas, still rewriting plans, still saying things like, "I've been thinking a lot lately." His laptop has 38 tabs open. Finance videos, productivity systems, business podcasts. A Notion page called 2026 Goals Final. Another one called Real Final Version. Every few months, he reinvents his entire life plan. New routine, new strategy, new vision for his future, and every few months, nothing changes. Ethan spent more time organizing his future than building it. Meanwhile, Dave kept throwing himself into things before he felt ready. Most of it went badly. He started businesses with no clue what he was doing, trusted terrible ideas, lost money, sent awkward emails, uploaded terrible videos, looked stupid publicly more times than he could count. But Dave never treated confusion like a reason to stop. And somehow, he keeps moving forward, not because he's smarter, because while Ethan mastered thinking, Dave mastered motion. And the older they get, the more dangerous that difference becomes. The problem with being the smart one is that eventually intelligence becomes your identity. When you grow up getting praised for being naturally capable, you become afraid of situations where you might not look capable anymore. That's why intelligent people often hate beginner stages. Beginners are awkward. Beginners don't know what they're doing. Beginners ask dumb questions. Beginners make obvious mistakes. And Ethan hated that feeling. He wanted to understand everything before starting. Wanted the perfect strategy before making a move. Wanted certainty before taking risk. He kept mistaking clarity for progress. He told himself he was being responsible. But underneath all the logic, there was fear. Because if Ethan actually tried something and failed, what would that say about him? What if he wasn't exceptional? What if his potential wasn't real? What if everyone was wrong? So instead of risking failure, he stayed in preparation. Preparation felt safe. Nobody laughs at someone working on something. Nobody judges unfinished potential. That's why Ethan became addicted to planning. Planning protected his identity. Meanwhile, Dave operated differently. Dave rarely felt fully prepared, rarely knew exactly what he was doing, but he was comfortable figuring things out while moving. He wasted money, started the wrong projects, made decisions too quickly sometimes, but every bad decision made him slightly harder to scare. That's the irony. The person trying hardest to avoid failure often avoids growth too. This is where years disappear. Because preparation creates the illusion of movement. Ethan genuinely felt productive. Every night he was working, watching business content, researching markets, learning about investing, organizing systems, optimizing routines, saving videos he never rewatched, buying courses he never finished, waiting to feel confident before finally beginning. He knew exactly how successful people thought, but had never tolerated being a beginner long enough to become one. He consumed motivation the way other people consume entertainment. And mentally, he felt exhausted, which made him believe he was progressing. But information becomes dangerous when it replaces action. Because eventually you can know everything and still do nothing. That's the trap intelligent people fall into. They become emotionally attached to preparation. Because preparation lets you feel ambitious without risking embarrassment. Action is different. Action exposes reality. The moment you begin, your fantasy collides with your actual skill level. Now people can judge the result. Now failure becomes visible. So instead of acting, Ethan kept preparing. And the scary part is, from the outside, it almost looked disciplined. Meanwhile, Dave was out in reality collecting scars. Most of his ideas failed. One business lost money in 3 months. One completely flopped. His first videos were painful to watch. People ignored him constantly, but Dave kept moving anyway, not because failure didn't affect him, because he never expected himself to be amazing immediately. Reality was teaching him things YouTube videos never could: confidence, timing, communication, resilience. Not theoretical confidence, real confidence. The kind that only comes from surviving embarrassment repeatedly. And slowly, without even noticing, Dave stopped fearing action, while Ethan became even more afraid of it. Because the longer you wait to begin something, the more emotionally important it becomes. At 22, the gap didn't matter much. Ethan still looked promising. But by 28, something started changing. Dave had experience now, real experience. He knew how to sell, how to communicate, how to recover from mistakes, how to handle rejection without collapsing emotionally. Not because he was gifted, because repetition changes people. Meanwhile, Ethan still had potential, still had ideas, still had plans, still had intelligence. But his life remained mostly theoretical. And one day, Ethan quietly realized something painful. The people who used to ask him for advice were now ahead of him. That feeling destroys people quietly, because Ethan couldn't understand it. How are they ahead of me? I know more than them. Maybe he did, but knowledge without action eventually expires. The world doesn't reward stored potential. It rewards visible movement. Dave's confidence compounded, his network compounded, his skills compounded, his opportunities compounded. Meanwhile, Ethan's hesitation compounded too. Every year of waiting made starting feel heavier. More pressure, more expectations, more fear. Until eventually, starting felt terrifying. Not because he lacked ability, because he spent so long protecting his potential that he never learned how to use it. This is the part nobody admits. Some people become addicted to potential. Because potential is comforting, potential is still perfect. As long as Ethan never fully committed to anything, the successful version of himself could still exist safely inside his imagination. The businessman, the creator, the investor, the entrepreneur. Inside his head, he was still all those things. Reality threatens fantasy. Reality says, maybe your first attempt won't be impressive. Maybe you won't immediately become who you imagined. Maybe talent alone was never enough. And for intelligent people, that can feel unbearable. So they stay attached to one day. One day I'll start. One day I'll be ready. One day everything will finally click. But life moves whether you move or not. That's the tragedy. Ethan didn't ruin his future in one dramatic moment. He lost it quietly, in tiny delays, tiny hesitations, tiny moments of avoidance repeated for years. While Ethan was waiting to become exceptional, Dave was becoming experienced, and eventually an experience became a real life. Most successful people are not fearless geniuses. A lot of them were simply willing to be seen failing long enough to improve. That's what Ethan never understood. Intelligence can help you think, but action changes your life. And maybe that's why so many smart people stay broke. Because they spend years protecting the image of being capable, instead of building capability itself. Meanwhile, the people they underestimated just keep moving. And eventually, the person willing to start badly passes the person still waiting to start perfectly.